So excited this morning. We're getting ready to kick off a great Saturday of events. We're now at Willowbrook AMC 24, getting ready to watch the movie The Hate U Give, followed by open dialogue and conversation with local law enforcement, Noble National Organization of Black Law Enforcement. We're going to have lunch at Prospect Park. Everything is going to be impactful and powerful. I want to ask these two young ladies, first give me your name and your age.
I'm Taylor Malone and I'm 15 years old.
I'm Sierra Malone and I'm 14.
Now Taylor and Sierra, tell me what's important about today and why are you excited about being here today to watch the movie and interact with law enforcement?
I feel like it's important for everybody to get their side of the story, and from what we've been seeing in the media, it's pretty bad, and I feel like everybody should be on the same page and know what each other is thinking, so we can better understand and help out the community and stuff.
I feel like this movie is a great thing for to get different perspectives of how everybody feels, and not just the police side, but the victim side. And I feel like this is a great way to show kids how to defend for themselves and stand up for what they believe in.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to hearing your dialogue. We're going to ask open, honest conversation questions to the police officers. So thank you guys for being one of the first two here. Looking forward to this day. All the Noble officers, please stand. Let's give them a great big hand. Let's give them a great big hand. They're going to be interacting with us over lunch. Now, if you buy anything to eat the movie, it's on you, but at lunch, it's on us. We're going to Prospect Park as soon as the movie's over with, and lunch is free. So don't spend too much money here when you got free food on the way waiting for you. Also, DWI, dealing with your issues, mentor group is here. Won't you stand? That's Reverend Larry, Mr. Larry. And then we have Reverend Roy. He has his group here, Life Jackets. Won't you stand? As a host of youth from the community and from the church, we thank you and all the parents, chaperones, adults that are here. We're looking for a very positive interaction. So immediately after the movie, we're going to be going to Prospect Park, free lunch, and open, honest dialogue.
I enjoyed the movie. It's the most eye-opening movie I've ever watched.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the movie.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the movie.
I'm heavily active within our schools because I believe that it starts with you and then it filters off to the community. I'm looking forward to this conversation as well. A couple of things. As we introduced ourselves, as you can see, we're all human. We all have kids. A lot of us are heavily inundated within the church and with our community. So as the pastor said, he hit it on the head. And as retired Major Ryan said, everything is open. Whatever question you have, we'll try to answer it with the best of our ability.
They're here because they care. It's Saturday. They're here because they care. I'm not paying to be here. They're here because they care. So let's give it up for all the officers that came out there because they care. All the parents and adults that are here, raise your hand. We want to give you a great. Your parents are here because they care. Come on, give it up, give it up. Thank you for being engaged in your child and your community life. We saw the movie with the brush, and she said, the young lady, Star, in her hand, the brush was simply a brush. But in his hands, the brush would look like a weapon. Can we get some officers to interact with that? How unfair is it for this kid to be mishandled and mistreated because God blessed him with size? And let's be real, if a cop pulls him over, they will treat him differently than they pulled me over. Just this week, an officer in Greenspoint was indicted because he pulled up on the scene and saw a big black man, and he was overwhelmed with the size of a big black man that was mentally disturbed, and he killed him. Now he's been indicted this week. If the black man was my size, he probably would have been tased and not shot. Can I get some input?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take that one. Since I'm one of the smallest folks here, Folks, let me tell you something. I was a highway patrol officer working patrol for 14 years before I went into investigation. Size was not a particularly intimidating thing because one thing for certain is this. It's not what you say sometimes that makes police officers react a certain way. It's what you don't say. Give you an example. Ball your fist up. I want you to act aggressively like you're mad that I stopped you. Sir, I need you to stand exactly where you are. Start advancing toward me. And it goes back to, y'all remember in the movie, the officer was telling him, hey, I need you to put your hands up here, don't move. At nighttime, depending on where you are, traffic conditions, people conditions, there are a lot of things that are going on. Look out the window right quick. How much is going on? And imagine yourself as a police officer with a car stop. Look out the window. Everything that's going on. So not only am I having to watch you, I'm having to watch all these other things. That's why following instructions are important. As I told a group last week, as a patrol officer for 14 years, I didn't wake up any day saying that I wanted to go kill a black man or a white man or any man or a woman. But at the same time, nonverbal communication is something that's very important. And one thing for certain is this: if you believe that you've been treated unfairly in a traffic stop, the place for you to fix that is not with that officer on the side of the road.
Y'all listening?
The power of the pen that you possess is mightier than the sword. A written complaint, if you believe that as a police officer I have treated you unfairly in a traffic stop, you have the right and privilege to file a written complaint with the law enforcement agency that officer works for. An officer is typically required by their policy to provide you his name, his badge number, and the agency that he works for. It should be prominently displayed on his badge of office and on his uniform. Now, you can call and complain all you want to, but I'm going to give you this. A law enforcement agency does not have to act on your complaint unless it is in writing. If it doesn't mean enough for you to write it out, it didn't happen. If you put it in writing, by law, on the state law, they are required to conduct an internal investigation.
Best way you can get involved with your law enforcement community or law entity, DA system, etc., is get involved with some sort of community-based program that they have to offer. And it starts with the Citizens Academy. All of them have them. Whether you go to Harris County Constable Office 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or Harris County, even DPS. I was with 80 people. I'm gonna just say this. I was with 80 people this morning doing a presentation with some Citizens Academy group. Out of the 80, only 8 of them look like me. Ouch. I'm sorry if I hurt somebody. I'm just being honest with you, Pastor. All right? We gotta get together, all right? That's the only way. That is the only way. I hope I answered somebody's question.
And let me interject.
We gotta get part 2.
National Night Out in Greens Point, which used to be called Guns Point.
Huge.
We host the biggest National Night Out
huge.
in Houston, Texas.
It was.
Because we believe in getting engaged and involved because we're going to do something about the
It was huge. One of the hugest in the state.
What I'm telling you is the steps we're taking are necessary steps of
Yes, sir.
engagement. Part 2.
Who's gonna hit part 2?
Well, one thing I noticed, I don't think the question was fully addressed when the young man stood up here and it was asked why, if he held the brush, it would be looked at as a weapon. But I want to take you guys back to the movie. Before I joined the FBI, and most of you guys will never meet an FBI agent, okay? How many people have seen Criminal Minds? Criminal Minds? None of y'all would never meet an FBI agent, and if you do, it's a very bad day. But out of 13,000 FBI agents, there's only 500 blacks. And out of that number, it's only 100 black females, and I'm one of them, okay? But before I got into law enforcement, before I became a federal agent, I was a police officer in Atlanta. Why did I want to become a police officer? I grew up in Lower Ninth Ward, New Orleans. One of my most memorable interactions with law enforcement, or lack thereof, my cousin, who was a drug dealer, was shot in the mouth. He came home to where we lived, we called the police, and guess what? They never showed up. I helped my mom and dad, dragged my cousin to the car, and we took him to Charity Hospital. That day, I said I wanted to be a New Orleans police officer. I knew nothing about the FBI. And then I learned I can be part of a bigger solution if I join the federal government to enforce federal law. So I just wanted to put that out there for you guys. If you want to become part of the solution, you have to join the police forces and the federal agencies. But going back to the movie, what did we see in the traffic stop? When the cop approached the window, right? We had this young man, he was just joking around, but guess what? That police officer didn't know that. The young lady, she said, dude, put your hands up on the top of the dashboard. He wouldn't do it. When the police officer came to the car, he had his windows still rolled up, which means he had to reach down to roll it down. When the police officer pull you over, go ahead and let those windows down, okay? You don't want to reach for anything. No, it's not right, but this is our reality. When I'm pulled over, they don't know who I work for, right? Until I tell them, so I follow the same protocols I'm telling you guys. When he approaches, if he asks you for something, just give it to him. Have it ready. Don't reach in your back pocket. Don't reach in the console. Give it to him. What did the young man on the movie do? Tell me. Young people, what did he do? He argued. Okay? He argued. That's not the time. When you're working at your job, if you work at a counter or a retail store, or even a hospital, and somebody comes into your job with major attitude, what are you going to do? Get a major attitude back, right? Same thing. Then he continues to have that back and forth discussion. Now you're impeding on this man doing his job. And now he's thinking, why are you arguing with me and I just asked you for your license? You're told you're supposed to do that. So the bottom line is sometimes we can avoid some of these situations ourselves, right? And especially with so many young ladies now in the media, fighting with police officers, you're not going to win. How you will win is like what was said before, get that officer's badge number, report it, and if there's like a continuation of reports, and if he does something bad, right, a civil rights violation under color of law, research it. That is what the FBI investigates. But if I get the tape, and then you're saying, oh no, my cousin was shot, it was excessive force, but I look at the tape and your cousin was throwing bowls, he was beating his cop's butt, and if a cop is on the ground and you're beating his butt and you have a chance of getting his weapon, guess what? It's gonna be you or him. If you are on me, if there's a big guy on me, and it's gonna be me or him, I'm not gonna let him get my gun. And y'all have to remember that we're human beings too.
Thank you.
Can I jump in real quick? Yeah, I just want to put the camera down real quick because I just want to reiterate something she said. I met a couple of you all before you know the movie started, and I told a couple. I was from Chicago, and where's the guy with the Texas shirt? Where's he at? Big guy. What he said? He told me, you gotta be careful who you tell that to, because they might think you violent, right? And you all see the news and you hear what they say about what I still call my city. And what she was trying to explain to you is that, what do you think happens to me when I go home? I was raised on the south side of Chicago. My family still lives on the south side of Chicago in Roseland, which is a community south of what you probably heard of, Inglewood. So when I go to Chicago, I can stop by the police. I can stop by the police with my children. Do you think the situation changes for me? I know what some of you are thinking, well, you're the police, so you get this treatment and this and that. Well, I'm gonna tell you, it only goes so far, right? Because there's a little segment there where that police officer doesn't know that I work in law enforcement. They look at me the same way that they look at everyone else that they look at in that individual situation. And what do I have to do, right? What do I have to do? I have to do some of the same things that she was describing. I have to make sure the windows are rolled down. I have to talk with respect in my voice. I have to disclose that most times I have a weapon. right? And does the situation change? Absolutely, for that split second, before I can tell them why. You know? So, is it right? Absolutely not. But are you looking at anybody up here that has to respond any differently than you do when you're stopped? That's just not true. It is sad that this is something that we have to deal with. But if there's nothing else we want you to leave here with today, it is how you should respond. With respect. With transparency, right? What does transparency mean? Let's be honest. Can I see your ID? Give up your ID, right? I give up mine right away. No bones about it. I give up my ID right away before they know what I do for a living. That's just the way that it is. And I just want to share that on back to what you.
And again, all those are great. All those are great examples in the lab. But in the real world, where we see disparity, where we see and our children see what looks like a great difference. They go to school and their classmates that are not black do not have the same experiences interacting with police officers. They can Google interaction with cops and see a white kid cussing a cop out and being talked to kindly and politely while the black kid being slammed on the hood of the car, jacked up. Let's talk about, in the movie, when the cop showed up, let's use the restaurant scene. In the movie, when the cop showed the restaurant scene, there was all kind of negative vibes. And let me interject this. We also have to check one another. Because in the movie, the reality of it is, we're oftentimes our own worst enemy. We're so busy fighting against one another that we're not realizing that they're really not the enemy, because we make enemies of ourselves. So we have to learn how to, one, clean our own hood up first, our own neighborhood, our own community, and stop killing one another and fighting one another over foolishness. So when we do interact with them, there's a chance it may be a civil interaction.
See if y'all gonna be honest and say that you do not pull out your badge and show that cop that you're a badge to, that you're a police officer.
Hold on.
That I know did that.
Hold on one second. We're going to be open and honest, but we're not going to be disrespectful. Now, so as we communicate, we're going to communicate with respect because we're making steps of progression. We're not going to be like everybody else going back. We're going forward. So give your comments, ask your questions, but we're going to do it the way we can get an answer of solution to move forward. We're not going to stay jacked up. We're going to go up. All right? So the question you just asked is, in honesty, when you get pulled over, do you flaunt your credentials?
I'll start. I'll tell you no. And I'll tell you no because when I was a working person, as a patrol officer, somebody flipping a badge out at me was an insult. Because at that point, that person felt like that they were above the law. So therefore, I'm speaking for me. It pissed me off. Look, man, you out here flaunting the law. You think you're above it.
This is about coming together as communities, as law enforcement. I will tell you, I am a servant. I serve y'all. We receive our powers based on the fact that y'all give them to us, that our community give us our powers. We're here to serve and protect. And the thing of it is, since I'm serving you, since this is your law enforcement, your police agency, you have to get involved. You have to demand that you are heard. You have to demand that your rights are protected just like everyone else. And that is being engaging your civic leaders, your law enforcement agency, what have you. You have to be engaging with them and make sure that they understand that your rights are precious to you, that your rights mean just as much as anyone else. And I encourage you to stand up for those rights.
Wait a minute. I want you to express yourself and pose whatever questions you have to the panel.
I don't understand, like, we talking about like all this stuff about like how people, well basically everybody gonna have their own mindset on what they gonna do. Everybody is different. The police are human. The people who getting pulled over or doing the crime or whatever are human. So we gonna all react a certain way. So I don't understand like why we keep like trying to fix the way people think. Like we can't do that. The only thing we can do is like eliminate the problem. Now I don't know how we're gonna eliminate the problem, but I'm pretty sure you get like a couple of people who can think for themselves together, like we can eliminate the whole thing, which is like, well, I'm saying the problem is like prejudice on like not just black people, minorities, anybody who looks different, or anybody like that's just not normal. So like I don't know how like we can like get that out of there, like get that out of the mindset of police officers, but like I just know that that's what they need to work on. Yeah.
You mean the prejudice part?
Yeah.
Because it's the reality. And this is the truth. We all have a tint of prejudice inside of us. You might like green over blue. That's reality. But when it comes to human interaction, do you feel in the movie, when we were watching the movie and the scene where the girl and the guy, right before he got shot, when they were interacting, she knew exactly what to do, because watch this. She had a father at home that taught her what to do. Her friend did not know where the movie does ever say who his daddy was. His dad is nowhere in the movie. His mother's on drugs, and his grandmother is struggling financially to put food on the table to provide for him. So it was almost like he had a no-win situation. A young black girl had to choose from a group of young black men who have looked like a no-win situation, so she has no win. Express and explain, what does it feel like to be young, black, and a female as you were watching this movie and seeing her boyfriend or first boyfriend get shot by the cops? How is that, what emotions came over you? And talk to the officers.
I mean, like when I first saw what was going on, at first I was getting mad. But then I started crying because I was like, dang, bro, like, well, sorry, I'm stepping out of my knowledge. But like, dang, bro, like, y'all really sitting here doing this. Like, this is stuff that happens every day. And like, all personal experiences and everything. And I'm just like, dang, like, but like, this is what you got to do. I mean, we can't change nobody's mind like that. So, yeah, and I feel like during the whole scene, like, I was like with Star. Like, I was really like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Because like, that's what my mama told me I was supposed to do. And so, like, Khalil, like he okay, like I don't want to put this all on him, but like he was doing a little too much. Like, oh, you see this girl trying to help you, you see how scared she is. Listen, like, do what you have to do. And then, like, for the police officer, I feel like, dang, like, you ain't have to kill the man, like, and you, I don't know, you can't read minds, but like shot the man in the leg or something. Exactly. So he like go to jail or something like that. But yeah, and I feel like the whole thing could have been avoided. Like, I'm not blaming this on him, but he, like, if he would have listened and stuff like that. And the cop already looked scared when he was coming out the car.
Say again, the cop looked what?
He already looked scared.
So sorry. So can we, she posed a couple things I would like us to address. The cop came intimidated. He looked afraid. Also, the interaction with the young man, we know his background because we just saw the movie, but it's not fair because the cop didn't know his background. The cop didn't know he didn't have a dad at home teaching him right from wrong. So how do you honestly show up on the scene and have to do a psycho evaluation in 2 seconds, understand my background, my backdrop, my mindset, and my temperament? How do you realistically come to all these conclusions so quickly on your response mechanisms? Can you help us?
Let me say that it can't be done. Number one, the problem is education. It's what's happening right here today. That officer should have known those people prior to even pulling them over. In reality, how many times do you think that officer in that movie has visited their churches, has gone to their schools to talk to the principal and the kids? At your age now, how old are you? I'm sorry. 15. Has anybody professionally ever taught you how to deal with the police?
I mean, not professionally.
Not professionally, just your parents maybe. Just like with the young lady, and it actually did something for her. The young man didn't even have that, okay? But what if professionally, which is what is, I believe in community policing. That's what my organization does. And we don't even start with you. We start right over here with this thing, okay? Because they're gonna be dealing with the police for the rest of their life, okay? And being African American, Latino American, or just a poor person in general. We know what that means in criminal justice. Let's be real, okay? And in that shooting, fear was the big thing. Pastor, you hitting it right on the head. It's not hatred, it's not frustration. Most of the time, it's not even anger. It's fear. I don't know you, and I'm not trying to make an effort to know you, and that's a big problem. We lack community policing, okay?
Now, just one second on that. So, when you joined the force, you were given a psychological evaluation, right?
Correct.
Now, after 10 years, you've seen some stuff
Right.
that has shifted your psychological makeup, but you've never been given a reevaluation on your psych test from day one. Understand what I'm saying? He came in pure. Now he has seen all kind of tragedies. And no one's ever pulled the cop aside and say, let's make sure you okay before we see you back on the streets. So now we interact with people on the streets that's going through something. He's going through something. So when they come together, it's going to be a clash. So I pray that every adult in here will make sure you put pressure on your elected officials to make sure law officers are required every year for a psychological evaluation before they interact with my kids and my community. Use the power of your vote. Make sure we put pressure on the politics and the government to make sure they have a chance to have a peace of mind before they interact with us. Secondly, you mentioned community law enforcement, community policing. The more we do that, the greater the trust level begins to come together. Because if it would have been a black cop, he knew a brush from a gun. Because a black cop would have been used to seeing a wooden brush. Does race really matter in what community you should serve? I'm not saying there should be any white officers in the black community. But I'm saying, how important is it to have black cops and Hispanic cops in predominantly black Hispanic communities?
It is very important to have that, but at the same time, you don't have to have that either, okay? When I was in law enforcement, I worked in plenty of Latino American communities. I'm not Latino American, but it's important for me to understand their culture. When I go to a family disturbance at a Latino American home, I need to know how a Latino American father feels about his home and his family. That's important. So if he's a little bit on edge, I'm already expecting that. That's the problem. You had the big young man up here earlier, okay? I can probably deal with him a little better than someone who doesn't understand his culture. I'm African American. I understand he's a big guy, okay? He's clenched his fist, he's upset, okay? I can probably deal with him a little better, okay? So it is important to have the same cultures working in the community, but at the same time, everybody can learn about cultures. And we don't take enough time to do that. We need to do that.
How long you been having dreads? That's called dreads, right? Just one second, brother. How long you been having? Why you wear dreads? You like it? Can we have a conversation real quickly? When I first moved my church to Greenspoint, I changed my hairstyle so I could maneuver a little differently. I grew my hair out a little longer. I had it pushed it up. It didn't change anything about my personality, intellect, any of that. But people would say, we wish you would cut your hair back because you don't look right like that. You don't look like pastor like that. The interaction with people is going to be differently with your hair twisted like that. But what it did was, for me, it allowed me to maneuver within a certain community and gain trust and relationship. Now they trust me enough where whatever my hair was, it didn't matter to them. But I did that intentionally to gain trust and insight in a certain community. So when you see him and his hair, can we be honest? Does it change the way you interact with him versus Well, you older. Come here, come. Come here, come here. Clean cut. Looks a little polished, you know, well put together. Looks like he's been raised right, probably junior deacon in church. Good kid. Well, you look at him and say, could be thug. Can we be honest? Is there a difference in the way we roll up on these two young men at the same scene? Talk to me.
No, not for me. I think for anyone.
Can y'all see that? Can y'all see this? That's my son. That's my son. You see that? Okay, my son has those, what you call it, those things that y'all have? Yeah, the things that looks like rats been sucking on the end of your hair. Yeah. I just want, my other son is clean cut. He has a, what you call it, he has a sort of mohawk or whatever, sort of Hawkeye cut, and like I say, he's on patrol. So it would make me a bit different. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, let me. Now let's have an out-of-body experience then. Y'all good guys. Y'all good guys. Your partners, your co-workers, your other officers, do you think that they show up with the same mindset you will show up with and it's all equal?
No.
Thank you. That's reality. It's not equal. And why is it not equal?
Perception is reality.
Y'all listen up.
Who does not form an opinion on somebody based on what they see first? You have this look and you have this look. And it goes back to something that was said earlier. It's called fear. How many of y'all watch television? All y'all watching television. Who watches Empire? Who watches some of the shows on television that portray African Americans as thugs, dope dealers, crooks, and all these other things?
Right.
Keep in mind, every time you flip on a television show that depicts that image of us being that, those are seeds that are being planted in other people's minds. You are supporting something that is sinister, that as a people says that we are dope dealers, we are dope addicts, we are robbers, we are burglars, we are crooks. I don't allow that to even be shown in my house. Because, whether you like it or not, as you patronize things like this, that's feeding the mainstream, the 45, and those supporters. That's what they are. Every black man and every black woman in this room and throughout this country wants the very best that there is to offer for our children in the next generation. Why do we accept mainstream media portraying us other than who we really are? So until we stand up also to mainstream media and say, look, we are God-fearing, church-going, family-oriented people. Why can't we have a black family-oriented show?
Yeah. Yes.
Why we gotta be rappers all the time? As for a black police officer, son, I don't have anything wrong with the way you look. You either. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of these young officers out here that are afraid of you and you. And going back to what Nicole commented on earlier, how many folks in here over 18? Raise your hand if you're over 18. How many of y'all registered to vote? How many of you have voted yet? You ain't voted. If you won't plan on voting, the grand jury system throughout the state has changed. It's done as a result of the voter roll. So if you get a jury summons to go to jury, and you say you too busy, I can't go, my kid's sick, and your kid is 30 years old, trying to use the child exemption, guess what? If you don't go serve on the jury, go and comply with that jury summons, grand juries are picked now out of those jury pools. You get pulled, you may go to a district court, a county court, or you may go to a grand jury. If you don't go, somebody that looks like you, that goes before a grand jury, is not going to have a jury of their peers.
Because I came from Katy. So basically there's like little sections in Katy, and most of it is bad, most of it is good. And I think that when an officer is in a bad area, or they think, or if their area is known for being bad, that they think they have to act a certain way towards people. Do y'all necessarily do that?
Profile.
I can go back, and unfortunately, I've been out of the game for 5 years now, but I can go back to when on my patrol years, and you're right, there is a problem, because there was some to-do areas out here in the district where I work, and there was some communities that lack resources too. When they put me up here, it was drive around, be visible, drive through the banks, be proactive, but when they put me down here, they wanted me to run everybody, check them close, okay? In other words, I'm a hunter down here for criminals, and up here I'm protecting good people. That philosophy is really bad. Law enforcement philosophy, period. Basically, it's all apprehension, and it should come to the proactive side of the house and be prevented, okay? But it needs to be done for everybody, not just to do. That's a very good question, and it is. We're working on that, and it starts with community policing again. You have to get down in the areas that lack resources and understand what they go through on a daily basis, even their children, especially their children. Okay, but that is a very good question. And it has happened in the past. It's getting better from my understanding. Okay? I'm not in the police department every day anymore, but I work with a lot of them. And it's getting better. But they still need some ideas.
Thanks for your transparency.
Thanks, if you will. And I have to refer back to Sir Robert Peel, Prime Minister. Again, folks, we're talking about the 1800s, 1850s to be correct. Community policing has been around for a long time. But I want to talk about something that the major kind of led me to, and that's the complaint process. First of all, I'm part of a group that is charged to go to almost all 5,000 of our state troopers here within the state to instruct a particular presentation that's called Fair and Impartial. Fair and impartial. Every state trooper that's wearing this uniform is mandated to go to this particular presentation to engulf and start this same conversation that we're having amongst our troopers. Same conversation. Me and other individuals are teaching this. But I may add, the individuals that are teaching this just don't look like me. So it's a conglomerate of different races that are teaching this. And it makes out to be a beautiful presentation. But let's talk about the complaint process. There is a complaint process for every law enforcement entity. I can only speak for DPS because the only thing I've ever wanted to do, even as growing up as a child, was to be a Texas State Trooper. And I thank God that I'm doing my childhood dream. But at the bottom of every state trooper's ticket, or wanted that is a complaint option, whether to complain or compliment. I would also like to add this. Most of your police officers actually write more warnings than tickets. I'll give you a factual number. The troopers that I support in the Rosenberg, Fort Bend County area, they stop probably over 1,200 people in a 2-week span. I would like to tell you that over 1,000 of them receive warnings, but that's neither here nor there. One problem that I'm seeing when I'm engulfed in the community, whether it's in Houston or whether I'm in Eagle Lake, people don't complain. We will not, the lieutenant is not going to know the situation unless you tell somebody something. Now, I guarantee, the country's coming out of it now, I guarantee, if you ordered a hamburger and they brought you chicken, you will want to speak to the what? Manager. This is a fact. This is an honest, to God fact. In order for us to know, again, Sir Robert Peel said the community is the police, and the police is the community. In order for us to know your issue, you need to tell us. But this is what we get. And I'm talking about my own family now. In-law stopped me. He stopped me for no, what, did you tell somebody? No. All right, no problem. Cuz, what's up? I got a cousin. Every time he calls me, I know he wants something. It's either money or he got stopped by the police. And I don't care if you're looking on Facebook, I'm just putting it out there. Cuz, what? Man, they stopped me over here on OST and such and such. He did, and he had a legitimate, did you tell somebody? Nah, man, I ain't worried. You gotta let us know. I guarantee, if you receive chicken versus your burger, you will want to speak to the manager. We complain about the little things. We complain about the little things. But the misconduct, whether it's our officers, our deputies, our police officers, I mean, we're not going to take that, all right? Simply because this badge means a lot to a lot of us. It really does. It means a lot to a lot of us. Period. A lot of us don't have to do this. Let's get that straight real quick. We want to do it. We want to do it. We want to do it, all right? The complaint process. Instead of talking about the situation at your dinner table, let us know. So people like our friend with the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or our Internal Affairs Division, or the Lieutenant's Internal Affairs Division can get to the root of the problem and we can extinguish the problem. Pastor.
Now, your example, piggyback on it.
Yes, sir.
So I order chicken and get a burger.
Yeah.
I'm complaining because I trust that process.
Yes, sir.
I trust the fact if my order is wrong, they're going to come do something about it. Your process, I'm not too trustworthy of. Watching the movie. So in the movie, it's clear that the young man was murdered. But they're focusing on his background. Yes, he was a drug dealer. Yes, he made some bad decisions. But the incident that cost him his life, he was neither selling drugs nor doing anything illegal, and he lost his life. And the system focused on who he was, not what was going on. So my burger is the current issue we're dealing with, not who are you messed up last week. It don't matter. If last week you got my burger right, this week you messed my burger up, you're going to fix it. So why, when it's dealing with a situation, you go back to what Johnny did 6 months ago, a year ago. That has nothing to do why the bill was killed.
Pastor, God has synced us together. And I thank you for that question. Real quick, Babe Ruth. Has anybody ever seen? I do a lot of reading, y'all. I do a lot of reading. Somebody said one thing, if you want to hide something from a black man, read a book. I do a lot of reading. Hold on. I do a lot of reading. Now listen to me. Babe Ruth said this. He said yesterday's home run don't affect today's game. I'm getting excited now. Yesterday's home run don't affect today's game. You're right. Most of the time when a law enforcement officer makes contact with the individual, it's pretty much through traffic, through a traffic stop. We don't stroll up to a house every day and knock on the door and say, what are y'all doing in there, right? So it's generally on traffic. I have no idea who you, now you would know this if you would join your Citizens Police Academy, because you would actually have an opportunity to be engulfed with the law enforcement agencies. Harris County probably has one of the biggest Citizen Police Academies in the state of Texas. But again, we don't know the individual once we stop them. The only thing that we do know is the vehicle description, who owns the vehicle, and that's from simply running the license plate. I don't know who you are. I don't even have your driver's license yet. But we should not be judging folks on their appearance, etc. We don't arbitrarily just start looking up people's criminal history just to look up criminal history. We don't do that. We deal with the problem at hand, what is the reason for the stop? Speed. We're dealing with the speed problem. Now, if something else comes up, then we deal with that as well. Accordingly, professionally, right? And coming back around accordingly. That's extremely important. Again, this uniform represents a lot. I'm not just saying this one, the Texas tan, so to speak, this uniform, that uniform, etc. And we have to maintain the integrity of it. How do we do it? By policing ourselves and you helping us. Again, Sir Robert Peel said the police is the community and the community is police. And I'm going to stand on that. Thank you, Pastor.
Policing yourselves, have you ever turned in one of your co-workers for being dirty?
No, I haven't personally.
So,
Now that doesn't mean that nobody else has.
So you've never had a jacked up what?
I'm blessed to say no, sir, I haven't. Personally.
Anyone else? Has anyone ever? Now I'm not trying to turn you into a snitch.
Good question.
But have you ever, see, if I'm rolling with a group of pastors and one other people not doing some stuff that I think gonna mess me up,
Yeah.
I'm a boss.
Well, first things first, Pastor. I tell people like this all the time. I speak to a lot of people. All right. I did over 1,200 presentations last year. I tell folks, why in the world would you let your neighbor walk around with toilet paper on their sheet? Why would you let your brother walk around with his zipper down? You gonna say, hey, brother, zipper down. Or if you got a little something, you gonna say, hey, man, you got a little, right? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that when our homeboy is messing around on his wife? Or why don't we do that when we know our boy is involved and engulfed in gang activity? Why don't we put him to the side and say, hey, bro, you messing up, right? We got to start with ourselves, right? We got to start with ourselves. Now back to your question. That's the same thing that's going on with the law enforcement. We tell them, when we tell our officers, we tell each other, police each other. Hey man, your shoes untied, right? Whatever. Police each other. Because again, a lot of people have died, right, and sacrificed their lives to get to where you are, to where I am, where these ladies and gentlemen are, and we got to maintain and keep that polished by policing ourselves. Go ahead, Luke.
You look back old now. Okay, this is what I'm going to tell you. Yes, I have testified against one of my fellow deputies. I have done it. He should have been messing up in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is when I need to start somewhere else, and then I need to come back here. Okay, you know, I'm gonna start with asking you parents of these small children to go to the police for help. That's where the mentality starts. Right there. You have alienated them against us right there. Do you want to be a police officer? No. Okay. No, I don't want to be a police officer. Okay. But how do you learn what we do? How do you learn to play by the rules if you will not come to the police agency and find out what we do? When I first got to the sheriff's department, this was back in 1989, 1988, 1989. Was anybody born in 89, 88, whatever? Okay. So I walked through the doors of the sheriff's department. I'm brand new, had just got out of the military, just got out of the army. What is that? I think almost a year to the day. Got out of the army. I walked into the sheriff's department, and yes, it was prejudice. Yes, there was adversity. Yes, there were things going on. But when I asked my peers, hey, are y'all going to take the sergeant's test? So, you know, we can fix some of this stuff. You know what? I only want to be in charge of myself. Well, how you gonna fix it? Okay. So what I'm saying to you is that's when I started my journey. What is that? Sheriff Clevenhagen was the sheriff at that time, and back then he got on TV or he got on the radio or something and said he didn't have any black people to promote. So I started promoting up the ranks as fast as I could. It was time for me to go. It was time for me to get there. Okay, when I became a sergeant, I was a young black female sergeant at the sheriff's department. I had, what is that? You've got adversity from black people, you've got adversity from white people, you've got adversity from old people, you've got adversity from young people, because nobody wants to listen to a young black female. You can't possibly know what you're talking about, right? Okay, so I'm moving up the ranks. I am the first black female lieutenant to ever step foot in the sheriff's department, was promoted at the sheriff's department. You know why? Because it is hard to affect change from bottom up. It's hard to affect change from bottom up. You know, you're pushing against the machine. You are pushing, but you get where you need to be and you affect change from top down. So everything below me, you fix. And if I see somebody bad, if I see somebody that's messing up, if I see them, if they come under my purview, then I'm going to fix it. Because that's what I'm supposed to do.
She's a rare jewel. She actually dreams of being a law enforcement agent. That's the young lady I told you about. She wants to be, so after you watch this movie, and you see gonna be a cop, she said, yes sir. Explain to us why. How about?
That's my bad.
How about?
One, the black guy was wrong. I'm not even gonna lie, he was wrong. And then the cop, he was wrong too. For one, you should never play when you come in contact with police officers. Because for one, they're about their business. They're gonna always make sure that they're safe. Their first priority is themselves. Yes, he might have seen that. Yeah, he's holding a weapon, but you gotta understand, look first. Because even my teacher, he said that he almost shot a bear before he went into a house search by himself, thinking that he saw a person. He looked back again and was like, that's a bear. You gotta understand that you gotta see before you think. It's like your parents say, think before you talk. See before you start moving action.
Do y'all remember the Gulfport shooting? He was a deputy?
Yes.
And he was out here? Okay, well that was my watch. And that was my deputy. And I talked to him probably 2 days before the incident happened. And we talked about his daughter and we talked about his son. And believe it or not, you know what? If you saw that guy in the, maybe a little shade or something like that, you would probably think he was a light-skinned brother. Really, right? Had sort of what, wavy hair, or kinky, whatever hair and stuff like that. You'd think he was a brother. But that being said, you know, y'all talk about fear. He got shot in the back of the head 15 times. At 8 o'clock, I took my last bite of Chinese food. And they told me one of my deputies were down. And I'm telling you what, you know, I can't say everything that I said at that particular juncture, but know that these guys and girls, women and men, want to go home just like y'all want to go home. They want to eat dinner just like y'all want to eat dinner. They want to hug their children just like you want to hug your children. And me seeing him shot in the back of the head 15 times, he was not even viable. We could not even light his body. And I don't care whether he was black, whether he was white, whether he cheated on his wife, whether he had 15 girlfriends. He was a person, and he was my deputy.
I feel your pain. About 6 months ago, 8 months ago, my phone started blowing up. Ray Thomas was laying on the street, dead, on the corner of Pier Valley and Greens Road. The community called me. Law enforcement called me. The media called me. Your boss called me to show up to prevent a riot. When I got there, his body was still laying on the ground. A community saw an unarmed black man who everyone knew either had a drug addiction or a mental illness, hands down to his ankles, shot, killed, still laying on the ground. My first question was, why is he still here? Why haven't they respected the community enough to move him? Because now all these kids have this shock now that we've seen a dead body in our hood once again, and like the movie, either they don't care, they don't know, but anyway they don't show. So I feel your pain about your officer, but feel my pain about my people.
I do.
Feel my pain about how every week, and let me tell you what side I'm on. I'm in the middle.
That's right.
I say no more BS. It stands for no more bloodshed. But I say no more being scared. I'm sick and tired of no snitching rule. I think the worst thing in our community is no snitching rule. If you go, Jack, Miss Johnny, I'm gonna go report you, and I'm gonna take my boy, we're gonna jack you and take you to the police. The no more stitch rule is dangerous to our community. But at the same time, where's the trust level where I can trust you to take care of them?
Okay. Now this is what I'm gonna say. 2% of the population actually complains on paper.
But you know why? Go back to the movie. The mindset. If I don't trust the complaint system, why am I going to waste the complaint? In Houston, Harris County, this is statistically correct. There were 288 consecutive no bills, which means 280 consecutive officers were involved in an incident and 288 went uncharged.
So there are things that we're looking at to not have the body out where it's being visible at that point. Now, in regards, people need to understand too, we have an internal investigation that we conduct that is independent of the grand jury system, okay? The grand jury and that criminal case is looked at by a different set of individuals.
Y'all pay attention, pay attention.
Okay? So when the major and everyone else tells you that you need to come up here and get involved in that civic process, that's what you need to do. Now understand that if you do come in to complain, because we do have people that do come complain, we have people that come in that cannot write. Okay? We do have people that are there for you. They will assist you. That's why you exist. Okay? But you can't ask us here as law enforcement why, when they go to the grand jury, why this happens, because that is not our purview. Okay? We are not the grand jury. We turn all of the findings over to them. They conduct their investigation. We conduct ours. That court system is the one that turns around and states whether they're going to convict or they're going to no-bill that person. It is not the sheriff's office, it's not DPS, it's not FBI. It goes through that system, okay? So that's what we have to educate people, because everybody thinks that once it comes to us as the sheriff's office, that we are the ones responsible for convicting that person. That is not true. All of the evidence gets handled through our district attorney's office. If it's warranted that the FBI has to be involved, they will be involved. If the state police has to be contacted, they will be contacted also. But it is not our responsibility. The sheriff's office, DPS, HPD, constable's office, they are not the ones that are trying the case in the court of law downtown, okay? And that's what I want people to understand, because a lot of people feel that it's us that's doing that. We're only conducting our independent investigation, all right? So that's where he stated, come to the Citizens Police Academy. I have a youth program called the Explorers Program with the Sheriff's Office. You want to know how many kids I see that look like me in that program? Very few. We started 14. We beg parents. And I'm not saying you have to go to be a law enforcement officer. You can have the interest. But we teach you leadership skills. We teach you how to do a traffic stop. What happens, okay? So the thing is that we're being very transparent with you. But some of the issues that you're talking about, we can't answer here because that's outside of the scope.
Well, actually, you did.
But let me say, but in my defense here, because me and him grew up together in the hood, so y'all will know, we grew up together. We came from that hood, and when I told him about this movie, I told him these are some of the same issues that we dealt with growing up. That's what we wanted you young people to see. Is to see the things that this movie was talking about. Yes, it was talking about police. It was talking about being an unarmed black man being shot by the police. But it was some other things that was going on in that movie too. The neighborhood. The neighborhood. It was pressure there on that young lady. She wanted to do the right thing, but what was the neighborhood doing to her? Because the dope dealer was there, he was more afraid of her talking, and if she talked, it was gonna bring what? His organization down. So when Pastor talks about the snitches, that's what we talking about here. When we say we want to come together, you know who broke in somebody's house, but you say nothing. We got to come together and trust each other. Okay? National Night Out, like that brother said. National Night Out, everybody at home. They don't want to come. Oh, I'm just coming for the food. You're not coming to learn what's going on in your community, trying to know who your neighbors are. That's why we put these programs on. In the county, National Night Out comes through my office, the Office of Community Engagement. And I was proud to see that Greenspoint had a very good National Night Out. To do that, some years. Because he's telling you right, when we were coming up, it was called Guns Point. When I came on the force, when she came on the force and everybody else, it was Guns Point. That is changing. Why? Because of you and everybody else coming together. It don't take a lot of money to do it. All it takes is our mind. Everybody don't go to college because, like we say, we doing this because we love this.
Because we love y'all.
We love people, period. Because I deal not only with African American, I deal with every nationality, community, you name it, I'm touching it. Because of what? I love what I do. You should have the same attitude. When Pastor Decker calls a community meeting at the church, guess what? All you sitting here, whether he served food or not, you should be sitting in there. I mean it. Because of the simple fact, something is going on that's affecting your community. We had a community sheriff's forum in the neighborhood one night. 5 people showed up. Pastor Decker had an event. He had everybody out there with food. Everybody showed up. All I'm saying to you is to get involved. You young people that are 17 years old and get ready to turn 18, parents, don't worry about buying them a present. Their first present at that point should be a voter registration card in their hand.
That's what my son was.
That's what you should be doing. And young people, if you don't have a parent, it don't have to take a father to be in that home. Men, if you know a kid that you see the mother is by herself, it is your responsibility to help her. Come together and help her. Women, if you see another mother struggling, use your responsibility to help her as the community. Because us as law enforcement, we have pressures every day. But we need your help in order to do this. And Pastor, I thank you. I had to say it. I'm sorry.
But let me add this. You use the word education. We walked in here. We can't solve everything overnight. This is going to be an ongoing process. We got about 13 minutes. We're going to wrap up. But listen, we came here with this mindset. Us against them. And a line in the sand. The word you use is education. And through education and engagement, we can realize that line in the sand, us against y'all, is very, very small once we are informed and engaged. Now today, there are some kids who are leaving with a different mindset. Well, they're not all bad. They're not all against us. And that engagement conversation will help us make the next step in the right direction. So I want to, again, thank you for being here today, showing you care, making the next step. And I wasn't trying to put you in a bad light, but I'm going to be realistic. The negative stigma between law enforcement and community is bad when it comes to black and brown people. You are all black and brown, but to us, you are all blue. It's not fair, but you represent him, we represent us. Today, we took one step becoming one family again. Because I don't want a community without law enforcement. I don't want my church to be unprotected. I don't want people to come in and take my sound system. I want law enforcement. But I want law enforcement that's going to enforce law and not enforce brutality and injustice on my people. So I thank you.